Crowlister, the Master of Ponage. Hi guys, Crowlister here with some more Namco arcade content. In this video, I will be playing the games of Namco Museum Archives in the first volume. I have both of the sets on the Nintendo Switch, which I bought digitally. So, Museum Archives are compilations of Famicom games by Namcot, which include ports of various arcade games by Namco, as well as some sequels or prequels to some of the arcade games. I will be playing the first volume in this video, which includes the games that you see in the scrolling. First off, we're going to do Galaxian, and I'll hold tight before starting each one in case you want to read the info. So, here's Galaxian in its NES form. The game plays very much like the old version of the arcade game, and can be a little bit more difficult if you play the arcade version with custom options, or if you play the new version, because the aliens can move a little bit more like they're a little smarter, and can ambush you easily if you're not careful. I want to let you know as well that this is going to be a short to long play of the compilation, meaning I'm only going to play each game for a little bit, before I move on to the next one. Like, I'm gonna do one round only for Galaxian. For some of the more simple ones, I'll just do a few rounds. And for the bigger ones near the end, I'll only do, like, the first stage. Just so you know, though, that's Galaxian on the Famicom. Next up, we got Pac-Man. We all know what this game is like. It's like the most iconic game ever. So, I have a few My Arcade mini players, including Pac-Man, and the original Namco My Arcade mini players would actually have the NES versions of these games instead of the actual arcade version. Except for the Namco Museum one, which obviously I couldn't get because of how expensive it was. If only I did have it. It has a few games that I haven't played yet. So, oh well. I'm probably not going to get much for my birthday this year apart from money. And that's alright, because I need to save up my money so I can buy the Nintendo Switch successor console once it comes out. We're after the midpoint of the month of October, and the new console still has yet to be officially announced, which I'm not surprised about at all. The more you anticipate an announcement like that, people, the less likely it is to come sooner rather than later. That's how life works. There are moments in life where you cannot be optimistic. I'm very pessimistic myself, I'll have you know. And it's for good reasons. Anyway, I actually have the Pac-Man My Arcade mini player. Yeah, micro player. I didn't want to mistake it for a nano player, because I have a nano player for the Mega Man one. And the Pac-Man My Arcade player actually plays the NES version, like I said. I have the Galaga and Dig Dug ones as well as Bubble Bobble, which is actually by Taito, and one other that I dare not name because of possible licensing issues. They all play the NES versions instead of the arcade versions. Some of the later ones, though, like Space Invaders by Taito, would play the actual arcade version. Pac-Man on the NES is essentially exactly like the arcade version, so it's not like I really need to continue from here. Next up is Xevious. pretty iconic shooting game that made the special flag iconic, even though, that actually debuted in Rally X. So, the NES version of Xevious plays pretty much exactly like the arcade version, with the normal difficulty setting. The graphics are just less. And for Andor Genesis, the game will halt with the scrolling, and you'll just stay there at the Andor Genesis battle until you destroy it. In any stage of the 16 that it appears in, like Stage 4, for example. Soul Citadels and Special Flags are also in pretty much the same spots. And I'm bad at remembering where all of them are. A little bit of a recording lag as I kill the Grove does. Oh well. Couldn't even reveal it, well, you know. Xevious on the NES is also playable on the Nintendo Switch Online app for anybody that's in the Nintendo Switch Online subscription. So most Nintendo Switch owners can probably play this version of the game for themselves if they wanted. I planned on doing a similar video to this one about Arcade Archives Namco, where I just do short plays of the games in general, even though I already long played most of them. Just so you can see a snippet of the games in one video if you are interested. I'm gonna do the other Namco Museum Archives at some point as well. And then I also planned on making a tier list video, like I did the Smash characters, for my opinion on Namco arcade games. Here's this first stage in the game with the Bakuras, the infamous indestructible tiles. Well, at least I can show you in one scene where a Soul Citadel and a Special Flag are and what they look like in this game. See? I'm gonna be rewinding here so I can get the Special Flag to appear. There it was, and the Bakura just hit me. The Soul Citadels and Special Flags are in basically the same exact places that they are in the arcade version. Like I said. We got Torcons coming at me. Now we got Jaras. Hopefully breaking some of the Zolbaks will calm them down a little bit while I try to survive just a little. I wanted to play up to Stage 4 for Xevious so I could show you what the Andor Genesis is like in the NES version. Now we got Ghetto Sparios. Lovely. More Zolbaks for me to destroy, so the air enemies weaken. We got Torcons, as you can see. You can also auto-fire in Namco Museum Archives. See, the game just pauses where the Andor Genesis is, and it's stationary. So you're basically there until you destroy its core. The Zagatos are still coming, so gotta remain vigilant here. Jaros. Staccatos. I hate staccatos so much in this game. That's all I really wanted to play at. Anyway. Mappy. One of the best by Namco, in my opinion. Definitely where the more retro ones are concerned. Alright, so, this is what the NES version of Mappy looks like. There's, like, there are fewer floors in the NES version than the arcade version because of limitations. The Meowkies are also just a little bit smarter, though that could be because I play the arcade games with custom dip switch options as a casual. And some of the transitions are also a little bit different as well. Like, once the hurry message appears for staying in the stage for a while, the game doesn't pause like it does in the arcade version. And then after the message goes away is where the Meowkies start to speed up and increase in number. Which is interesting. Hurry message just barely appeared. The bonus rounds have also been downgraded a little bit as well. I'm mainly talking about Goro at the end. So, let's just say if you're doing a loop clear on the NES version, the way you summon Goro at the end to get the final balloon in the 4th bonus round is different to the arcade version. So, yeah. In my opinion, a lot of the NES versions of these games are harder than the original arcade versions. Mappy's not necessarily the case. It's a little bit easier than some of the others. Then again, Mappy's not hard in general, the arcade version. Not really. Alright. Alright, I need to stop being stupid with that door. Gotta focus on survival over violence. that much different from the arcade version. There's just some lesser details here and there. So, you know. Next up is Dig Dug. I was never great at Dig Dug, honestly. I like it. It's an iconic game that deserves to be iconic. It's just not easy. And I find the NES version to be more difficult than the arcade version. A problem that the NES version is the one that my arcade microplayer has. The enemies deflate a lot faster after you stun them with the harpoon pump. And spamming forward to pump them is also a lot more difficult to manage in scenes where many enemies are at you at once. So... in the NES version, though, you can actually hit the enemy on the other side of the dirt wall a little bit easier than the arcade version. That's about the only up point, though. So... I'm just gonna play like 5 rounds. I want to get the bonus veggie. Interestingly, how, in Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, they had Pukas from Dig Dug as one of the enemies in Smash Run. And the noise that played after you destroyed them while they inflated and bursted was actually from the NES Dig Dug and not the arcade one. Nice, I got both of them. Nice. Did it again. Alright, that's as far as I'm gonna go in that game. Next up, we have Tower of Druaga. So, yeah. The NES version of the Tower of Druaga also plays very much like the arcade version, with just some technical performance differences here and there. The floors are just a little bit smaller, kind of like Mappy. The criteria for finding the treasure chests is also almost to scale with the arcade version. So, in the first floor, it's still defeat 3 green slimes to get the copper pickaxe, and so on with all the other floors. You're gonna need to look up how to find the chests on every floor in the game elsewhere in order to understand how to actually beat the game, as most of the items that these treasure chests hold are required in order to progress. Namco Museum on the DS and Nintendo Switch have a game guide to tell you how to find them, and I think Arcade Archives, Tower of Druaga might as well. So... you gotta wait for the slimes to hop, to take them safely. That's so much better. I hate moving slow. So yeah. Interestingly, the potion items all disappear from your inventory after the floor you first obtained them in. As you'll see with the healing potion here. I must warn you in advance, I had some trouble with the mages here, so I used a little bit of rewinding. Since I'm not doing the full playthrough of any of these games, I think it shouldn't really matter much anyway. The problem is that you have to block 3 spells from there. You have to block 3 of their spells with your shield while moving, and it's extremely easy to get hit by their spells while you're not expecting it. I know it's kind of hard to see where they're appearing in the video because of the frame rate. My laptop can't do 60 FPS videos. Because, you know, it's a laptop. I knew that was gonna happen. I also want to point out that Gil doesn't exactly swing the sword if you just tap it in the NES version of the game. So you gotta wait a moment, the long way no matter what, for the fire element that the sorcerers use. Real fun game this is. It's a great bragging right if you can actually beat it, though. Next up, we have the NES version of Sky Kid. The NES version of Sky Kid is a little bit different compared to the arcade version, having a little bit of incorporation from Sky Kid Deluxe in some stages. Although, in my opinion, the arcade version is vastly superior because of how freaking slow Red Baron's playing moves. You also halt after doing a loop-de-loop into a direction, which makes matters worse. And it can be very easy to rhyme the enemies. Nailed that one with no rewinds. It's kind of funny how in the arcade version, if you do a loop at the right moment, you can land on the docking platform upside down. Not sure if you can do it in this version of the game, though. I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna have the will to do a long play of the NES version of Sky Kid. The arcade version alone was a pain to play through, and I still haven't done Sky Kid Deluxe yet, which is only going to be a nightmare at best without a decent video editor. Without the ability to use one, I mean. Whatever. I wasn't gonna play the game all the way through anyway. Sky Kid was never my favorite arcade game by Namco. I hope you understand. Although the next game is not very fun either. Dragon Buster. Yet somehow this game's decently popular among the bigger fans. Never was much of a fan of the original arcade version of Dragon Buster, and I find the NES version to be even worse. For whatever reason, it says experience instead of score. This game plays very similarly to the arcade version as well. Except the NES version is even harder. As you can see, I got a bishop in the very first stage. Bishops aren't supposed to appear until set 3. There are also zombies, which seem to be immortal. So if they appear, you're pretty much cornered. Double jumping is a little bit easier in this version, since you press A to jump instead of the up direction. And that's about it, so, yeah. You also get fireballs a lot less frequently in the NES version. It seems, anyway. At least I can destroy the first dragon in a video. Notice how there is no gauge to show the dragon's remaining health in the NES version, like there is in the arcade version. You just have to go with your gut and hope you're lucky. So, yeah. I dare not go any further in the casual playthrough. Alright, next up is Dragon Spirit: The New Legend, which is the first of the games that is actually not like an arcade game. Dragon Spirit: The New Legend is not the same game as Dragon Spirit 1987. It's like a sequel, kinda. I'm gonna skip the cutscene and stuff because I'm just gonna play the first world. Before that, though, there is a little flashback to Dragon Spirit Arcade, where you go through a little maze scene and fight Zawell, the original arcade Dragon Spirit's final boss. This guy is no problem. And then there's a little bit of a scene that talks about Amur and Alicia, you know, from the end of the game. And then there's another demon named Golda that kidnaps Alicia. And then the blue dragon is out again to stop that demon. So you start from there. Got this little intermission. And the identities of the stages are the same as the arcade version. Stage 1 being the Paleozoic area. And then the layouts of the stage are actually completely different compared to the arcade version. You gotta watch your distance around the land in the first stage because there are meteors striking everywhere. And you can't shoot them. Dragon Spirit the New Legend is probably a game I could maybe try and do a long play of for YouTube if I got better at it at all. It's just not many people were bothered to watch Dragon Spirit nor Dragon Saber at this point. And that's unfortunate because I love Dragon Spirit. You gotta at least credit the game for the music. So, Dragon Spirit the New Legend also has some power-ups that the other games didn't have in the arcade, which you'll see some of them later on. This one makes you have a small dragon with smaller dragons on the side of you, like options. It's a version of a triple-headed dragon that doesn't suck, basically. Then, this power-up I just got is an Earthquake Bomb that'll shake the ground and destroy all ground enemies on screen at once. Then here comes the Plesiosaurus boss. And I was not paying attention enough, as you can see. I'll have you know that you have 3 hit points in this version of the game. So, you know. The first boss is also a little bit tougher. So I only barely beat him. There are also these fairies that can appear in these, intermissions after the boss is beaten. So, yeah. Next up is Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti. Oddly enough, if these games are supposed to be listed chronologically, it says Dragon Spirit the New Legend is 1990, and this game is 1989. So, what gives? Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti appears to be a prequel to Splatterhouse. As you can see, Rick and Jennifer, I'm guessing those are our kids. So, Jennifer's happy to see that Rick's not really dead. And then all of a sudden, there's this demon that comes out and kidnaps Jennifer, and Rick has to go out and save her. Throughout the entire game, Rick has an axe. instead of just punching and kicking and using whatever stages may have for resources. I'm just gonna play the first stage in this video. If I really wanted to do an actual long play of it, I could later. Alright, these skewer crosses gave me some problems. That could have been bad. Some enemies that you destroy will drop candy, which recover your health by 1 point. And as you destroy enemies throughout the game, you get upgrades. Like, if you destroy enough of them, your maximum vitality will increase. Yeah. Alright, you have to wait a while before you can move here. Let's show Mogo. That's better. Pretty boring scene where you have to destroy these zombies while avoiding the vampire's attack. So... yeah. There are also burgers that you can pick up as well. Those will recover your health completely. Alright, we're gonna fight our way through this possessed bookshelf and take it out completely before I dare pick up that burger, for obvious reasons. So I have full health for the real final boss of the stage. Gotta attack the decrepit head while avoiding the chairs. Wasn't sure if I was going to survive that battle. If you want to continue the game later, there's a password you're given at the start of the later stages that you can write down so you can input later. You can make restore points, though, in Namco Museum Archives. The final game in this compilation is a special, exclusive game made specially for Namco Museum Archives, meaning it didn't exist in the past. It's an NES rendition of Pac-Man Championship Edition, which was originally a game on the Xbox 360. I can play the original version on the Switch thanks to Pac-Man Museum Plus. And I already did for YouTube. So, this will be the one and only exception where I actually play the whole game in this video. Since, this game didn't actually exist as an actual, arcade game. Or NES game, I mean. Alright, you have normal and extra mode in this game, both of which have 5 minutes. Just survive for as long as 5 minutes allows and get as big of a score as you possibly can. Lag. Like it matters. If you do some decent ghost chaining at the start with the power pellets and get a bunch of the fruit targets as they appear quickly, you can rack up extra lives like crazy, so you're assured to be able to survive the whole 5 minutes. Same as with the original Pac-Man Championship Edition. It's always Pinky that gives me trouble. I was able to get a diamond anyway. Some of the sprites that I didn't point out where they were from in the original Pac-Man Championship Edition playthrough, like the Hard Jewel and stuff, I think are actually from Libble Rabble. I noticed that after I played Libble Rabble for myself. Like, in the long play for YouTube, I mean. Nice little Pack and Pow remix playing. For the leaderboard. So, yeah. Right, now we're gonna play with the Pac-Mania skin for the extra mode. This is based on, I think, Extra 3, specifically from Pac-Man Championship Edition. Except you have 5 minutes instead of 10 minutes. Interesting how there's different music for this game mode. Even though the original Pac-Man Championship Edition uses the same music for all the play modes. Well, at least not every single death in this game playthrough was by Pinky. That one. As you saw, Pinky was the one that got me there. So, I know in the original arcade game, Pinky was the one you needed to watch out for in particular, because she tends to read where you're going and ambush you. Actually run into ghosts from behind and losing stocks. Hilarious. Let's try. There's no way I'm gonna get one more fruit target with that kind of layout. Come on. So yeah, that was this version of the game's extra mode. There are also achievements in this version of the game that you can view from options, as detailed here. And if you get all of them, you unlock the extra skin like that based on Pac-Mania that you can play with. Right, so that wraps up the first half of Namco Museum Archives in long play form for me. I still got some more Namco arcade content coming up ahead as Hamster adds more to the lineup, and as soon as I feel like playing some of the ones I have yet to play. So stay tuned for that and more up ahead, and I'll upload what I feel like uploading. So, till my next upload, I am Crowlister, thanks for watching, and I will see you.